Hello, everybody. My name is the Geek. Hello. Is everyone there? And hello. Yes. Alright, let me test out my streaming capability. Alright. Hello. Hello, everybody. My name is the Geek. Hello. Alright, give me a second. Alright. Starting 10. Here's the early access. Boop. Hi. Alright. Everybody, I will let you know that we will be starting shortly. I want to thank everybody for being here. The video we will start the official podcast in roughly 8 minutes. So please hold on by and prepare for the stream as it starts. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you enjoy. Reminder everybody that if this video is going to have low editing, so if you do join me, I will say you do not have to worry too much about fully paying attention. You can have me in the background and just listen to my rambling. If you are watching this in retrospect, I would say jump ahead in about 6 minutes to get a full view of what we're doing. But yes, at 6:30 is officially when we will be starting the live stream. If you missed any of the points, you can go back and rewatch this at your own convenience. Oh yeah. Yes. Alrighty. Oh my. Whew. Boo. Boo ba doo. Ba ba doo. Boo 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 ba doo. Boo ba doo. Shanti shanti ba doo. Do 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 da ba do ba da ba ba da ba 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 da ba da da ba 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 da ba do ba da boo dum ba da boom dum boom boom boom. Ah, to da sit da ba da do. Ah, ti sha do do. Oh my. Should be fun, fun, fun all in the sun. Yes, yes, yes. Ba-dish da ba-dee boo-dee 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 boo-doo boo-doo ba-da-ba-ba-da ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-doo. Sha-ba-dee-dee ba-da-boo-doo ba-da-ba-da-bum-bum-bum. Alright, people, 2 minutes till we officially start the podcast episode. If you are watching this in retrospect, jump ahead in 2 minutes and we will officially be starting here in a few minutes. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first official episode of the Geekpod podcast. I am your host, the Geek Miss. For anyone who's curious, this will be basically a podcast series in which I will cover various geek topics. Roughly every week or two, one of these will be uploaded, and I'll be live streaming one of these, and we'll just sit there and talk about current topics that are both interesting to me, or just have recently popped up and have me pretty uniquely interested. If you're curious, I am also working on a major project that will be taking several months in time and has started its main writing process and will probably be live, I'd say roughly in September. But for right now, if you want to, please come in and we will live stream roughly around this time every Saturday. Maybe missing one or two here, depending on what's big and what's new. So, to talk about everything right now, let's talk about our very first subject today, and that will be Pokemon updates. I'm a huge Pokemon fan, so covering Pokemon in a more official sense sounds like a good idea. Currently, for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, we have the mightiest Salamence raid going on right now as a flying Terra type. Now, I was very shocked, actually, how simple and easy this first one was. Tyranitar was a menace, and it took me probably roughly, if you want to be honest, I probably had to reset that one about 50 times, and this Salamence one, I got it on the first go. It's very obvious that it's rather Salamence was not a good Pokemon for the Terra type they gave it, or it just wasn't good for what they wanted to do with this raid. I will be 100% honest, I am not shocked that this thing was a bit of a cakewalk compared to the last one, but I didn't imagine it would be that simple. I mean, I was using a Pokemon that didn't even boost its own stats. So I think that says a lot about how the Pokemon Company went about actually doing this one. It rather means they acknowledge that the first one they did was way too hard, or they can say that it was way too difficult. Honestly, I'm not too shocked how easy it was. To me, it was extremely simple. At least the first one was. Mind you, all the starters are done, and now we're on the pseudo-legendaries. Now, it's hard to say that after next week, if Salamence will, they will follow up with Flygon or Metagross, or if they'll move on to Garchomp in the next generation. It's hard to say. We're going to have to wait and see what all Pokemon are going to get Mightiest Marks, and how the order of, they're just going to go by the generation, or are they going to do every Pokemon from that generation? It's hard to say. Then, of course, we got Pokemon Go, and Pokemon Go currently has a Pokemon Horizons tie-in event, and, of course, Gigantamax Snorlax, which I think I can speak for most people in the Pokemon Go community. Until remote Dynamaxing raids are available, I don't give a crap. Scopely, slash Niantic's Pokemon Go developers, you need to fix this. Gigantamax raids are just not available, especially for my pissant small town. It's just not easily available, and it's not easy for most people to have access to it. Honestly, I think it's hilarious that you are still trying to make these things work without adding a remote function. I'm going to say that's probably more down to stubbornness at this point than it is to any point of a actual, oh, this is such a good idea, we should keep trying. Yeah, no, it's not working, Niantic. This Horizons event, one big notable thing is the introduction of the Tinkatunk line. And yeah, that's pretty cool. That is 3 more Pokemon that can both be added to Pokemon Go and also can be added to Pokemon Go to Home. And then the next event we're getting with Pokemon Go is actually going to be an event with Appleton being invited, which for Pokemon Go will be a net gathering of 3 new Pokemon, and for Pokemon Go to Home will be a net of 5 new Pokemon. And that also says that Pokemon Go is getting closer and closer to the mainline games. With these 3 new Pokemon that will be added to Pokemon Go, additionally to the idea that we already know for a fact that Volcanion is coming down the line, and several other, and getting the Urshifu line at the end of this Pokemon Go season, we're going to be at 900 Pokemon for out of the 1,025 Pokemon from the official series. And Pokemon Go to Home is even further along than that because of evolutions that you can do in Pokemon Home that you can't do in Pokemon Go. It means that Pokemon Go is soon running out of content for them to do stuff with. And I gotta say, if I was Pokemon Go, I don't know. It's going to be one of the two things. Rather, Pokemon Go is going to have to take a giant step back and start basically releasing 2 or 3 Pokemon a year in order to stretch out the content, or Pokemon Go's got to find a way to make the game more interesting without just adding a crap ton of costumes that you can do nothing with. But, you know, how many times can they re-release Pikachu with a different hat on? It's very hard to say on that front. I do think it's pretty interesting that the fact that we're still trying to put the... I mean, yes, as Pokemon Go players, we do want more Pokemon. We don't want maybe 25 Pokemon Go getting added a year. But Galar and Paldea, they've been going pretty hard with this time around. And it's hard to say if they're trying to be there to hit when the iron is hot with Pokemon Go, or if this is just a matter of them trying to get the game in a, hey, everybody can play state. I really don't know. And I think that is an interesting thing to see happening. I really think that I would like Pokemon Go to be caught up and everything to the mainline games, but I do admit, then what's the point of playing Pokemon Go if the only thing you're really going to be doing is shining hunting, or if you're a competitive Pokemon Go player, doing competitive Pokemon Go. It's not hard to say, but putting the square peg in the hole, it just means that you got nothing going on. So, to an extent, I can understand why Niantic / Scopely / Pokemon Go's developing team are both trying to make newer Pokemon more difficult to evolve or harder to obtain. I didn't say it when I first talked about Tinkatunk, but they were in eggs, and anytime Pokemon are put in eggs, that means it's hard to get not just one of the Pokemon, but basically it's hard to get the entire line or get the candy for all those Pokemon. It is a thing where rather someone is a whale and they buy a crap ton of egg incubators and they walk all over the place to get those Pokemon before the event ends, or they have to wait till the Pokemon comes out in the wild. And I am the person who I probably spend $20 every time one of these egg events go live, because I have to clear out my egg inventory so I'm ready to get all these Pokemon Go eggs. It's just a pain in the butt, but it's kind of a necessary evil to keep Pokemon Go fresh and going on forever. It's unfortunate, but it's kind of what you have to do in this situation. It really is. And then so moving on to our next topic, it's time to talk about Toei Animation and the One Piece debacle. Toei Animation is proposing to kill off Sanji, and I am shocked. I am shocked that that's a real thing, that Toei Animation is trying to bully, I won't say bully, but trying to convince Oda to kill off Sanji. Now, anybody who's not played, or not played, but anyone who hasn't watched or read the One Piece series, Sanji is basically one of the big three members of the Straw Hat Pirates, and is their cook, and is also kind of a prince to an extent. But they are trying... Now, also, it would be hard not to mention, he is a womanizer kind of crew member. He likes women, he gets fascinated, he loves women and everything. And he's a simp. That is Sanji's character to the max. Sanji is a simp. And he loves women, and he loves giving women special treatment compared to that moss-headed asshole. But Toei Animation is very much trying to kill him off. They are, and I quote, tired of animating Sanji's scenes. And this is where my opinion on this is, why you are an animation studio who is hired to animate a manga series. You are supposed to take the manga and turn it into a animation so that you can put it on Crunchyroll, Funimation, Netflix. Your opinions on the series end at, what color should Sanji's clothes be? You have no right to kill off a character. You should not be bullying the writer into killing off a character for a series he's been writing since the 90s. Toei Animation, it is none of your damn business. If you don't like Sanji, that's fine. But don't convince the writer to kill him off. It is none of your business. It is none of your business to kill off a character, Toei. It really isn't. And it's frustrating to hear that they have oh, but he's a womanizer. We don't want to animate him. It's a Shonen Jump series. That'd be like if they killed off Mineta because he's a fucking womanizer. I hate Mineta. I hate my hero, but like, I mean, hell, it's the same thing if the animators who did Konosuba didn't want to animate perverts anymore, and so that means they had to stop animating Cosmo in Darkness. It doesn't work. Sanji's a main character. He's one of the Straw Hats, and he's one of the main characters of the series. It's not like killing off Sanji makes no damn sense. He's one of the 2 co-captains. It makes no sense killing the man off. It really doesn't. I'm so frustrated hearing that Toei Animation is basically going out of their way to attempt to kill off Sanji because, oh, well, he's a womanizer. Who cares? Who cares what you think? This is purely the decision. This is a decision that Oda made. Oda is allowed to do what he wants. And yes, okay, let's cover maybe why Toei's now making the big stink about it. And it is because Sanji, in the manga, simps over Bonnie. But as the manga reading audience knows, and spoiler alert to everybody out there, Bonnie is actually a child. She has a devil fruit that causes her basically to become her dream self, and she has always been shown as an adult. And Sanji sees her at the time as an adult, so he simps over her. And of course, the woe is me, the audience, the people over there at Toei are like, oh my god, he's a pervert. It's like, he's been a pervert. And also, Toei, let's not forget, I read the manga before I watched your trash of an anime. I'm going to say this, Toei. You are the ones who've turned Sanji into a bigger pervert than Oda ever did. You want to have this, oh, woe is me attitude, but you are the guys who took Sanji from a, womanizer to a fucking pervert. I don't know. Like, you guys are the one who made Sanji really bad. Oda has him level-headed in the manga. You guys are the one who took him and made him the current state of how he is. I really do think it is ridiculous that you want to sit here and yell about this situation when you are the ones who made him like this. It's ridiculous in my own personal opinion. Personally, I'm going to say this. If Toei Animation would somehow convince Oda to kill off Sanji, I would not just lose respect for Oda for bending the knee and ruining his own franchise for a bunch of, what I'll say is probably soy latte drinking fucking man children. And, I mean, no offense, I would be really fucking disappointed. And I would probably at that point completely stop caring for One Piece in general, because I really do think it's a bad sign. My opinion, you are a contractor who is being paid. You are a contractor who is being paid to basically sit down and watch a series. That's all you're paid to do. You're supposed to read a manga and then animate the series on the back end of that. You are not supposed to put your own political opinions in there. You're not supposed to try to guide the story where you want it to go. The Oda has a story. He has a pathway. He has a way he's ending this. And I'm sure the way he's going to end this series is going to have Sanji at the end of the line with Luffy somewhere looking at the One Piece. I'm sorry. I have no room and no patience for a company who is trying to force Oda into something he doesn't want to do. It's just frustrating. It really is. And personally, I lose a lot of respect for the people who have sat there and tried to strong arm Oda into doing this. It's none of your business. It's none of your. You have no reason you need to do that. And in my personal opinion, you need to sit down and just let Oda do his job. And your job is to animate his manga. You're not supposed to write his manga. Yes, there are people who are supposed to write scripts. I know, I'm not a complete dumbass, but you're not supposed to rewrite his story. It is just so frustrating to see that they're trying to do this. And honestly, at that point, if I were Oda, I'd rip it out of their hands and give it to Wit. Wit sounds like they got something really promising going with the One Piece, and if they do, I would completely rip it out of their hands and give it to someone who deserves it more. If Wit Studio took over, I honestly think we'd get a better looking One Piece overall. Oh, man. Okay. Oh. Whew, that was a lot. Okay, let's go down to a more intriguing topic now. Now, this is something that's really interesting. I don't know about you guys. I'm a bit of a Yu-Gi-Oh fan. I watch a lot of the series, and I really do enjoy the overall series itself. One thing that I'm a huge Hero fan too. I watched GX growing up. I watched the original. I watched GX growing up. That's what I saw, and I really liked the Hero stuff. And of course, there were several packs that featured hero monsters on it, and an iconic series is a Yu-Gi-Oh set known as the Strike of Neos. And with its face card was a card that Jaden used during the anime called Elemental Hero Air Neos. And for the longest time, and, well, let's say this, Air Neos came out in one set and was never reprinted. Never reprinted, even though we had years of people begging, please, Konami, reprint us a new copy of the card. We want it so bad. And I guess if you like the Neo-Spacian related stuff, yeah, okay. I'm not a big fan of the Neo-Spacian hero stuff. I'm more partial to Evil Hero support along with some Destiny Hero stuff, but you know, what are you going to do? But Air Neos never got a reprint, never got a retrain, never got any kind of renew. It just disappeared. And years later, when Konami has two card game simulators, both Duel Links and Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links and Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, both of these games also are shockingly missing Air Neos. Cards that also have come out years later with all the Neo-Spacian Hero Neos fusions, ironically is also missing Air Neos. And on several re-uploads of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, they've actually edited out Air Neos and replaced him with a different monster. So, what the fuck is going on with Air Neos? That was a question people asked for years. No comment from Konami for years and years and years until recently. Actually, this week, someone came across a post. Someone found a legal document from 2008 about a legal dispute of a company who worked along with Konami, giving them a cease and desist over Air Neos. And honestly, looking at the character who was being claimed, that is Air Neos. I mean, it's not Air Neos, mind you, it's not Air Neos. This thing that was a Japanese series that worked along with Konami. It was an independent comic book here in America that got a live action over in Japan. it came out in 1998, and Air Neos definitely did not. So yeah, there's a bit of a copyright problem there. Definitely Konami and Upper Deck Entertainment were in the wrong with this card. And apparently the original cease and desist was ignored by both Upper Deck and Konami, so it turned into a lawsuit. With the big problem with that is, basically, Konami had a bit of a cease and desist issue where they could not use Air Neos. And basically, after Upper Deck Entertainment was basically ripped from the asshole out and got kicked out by Konami, Konami never really wanted to fight to get Air Neos back. It's very obvious now, and it really did when I first heard this story before the update to the story, that it sounded a lot like the same situation like Kadabra. If anyone is unaware, early on into the Pokemon trading card game, after a few sets of Kadabra cards, Pokemon went basically about 20 years without being able to print a new Kadabra Pokemon card. And it was simply down to the fact that there was an American magician who thought that Konami was, and I quote, that the Pokemon Company was infringing on his copyright with fucking Kadabra. I'm sorry, that guy is such a fucking asshole. And years later, when this guy came back and he was like, I'm such a good guy, I'm gonna release my copyright. Really? You're gonna fucking try to sue the Pokemon Company over the name Kadabra? Seriously? Come on, the fucking psychic Pokemon family that is Abracadabra, Alakazam. Fuck you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for any kids who ever hear this. Konami, fuck off. Or not fuck off. I mean, that fucking magician. Fuck off. You're fucking suing a company because they had because the Pokemon fucking Kadabra. Oh yeah, and then years later, when that fucking guy, he released his copyright and he allowed the Pokemon Company to finally print a Kadabra card, he wanted to get bats from the fucking internet, being like, oh yeah, look what I did for you guys. And it's like, and I love how most of the internet had the same opinion. Shut the fuck up. But it is a similar situation when it comes to our friend. Now, it's not the same situation, though, with the gentleman and the Air Neos. Because he's been very clear, Konami never was told they weren't allowed to use it. They were just supposed to acknowledge that, yes, he had the initial copyright, and that technically he should have... And the thing is, it was the fact that they didn't get permission from the man. They used this guy, and Air Neos, and this hero. Yeah, it is a night and day difference. It is not a shock that, yeah, this is shocking how similar it is. And to the point that, it's the point that Konami has the rights to use it. And they just simply refuse not to print more Air Neos cards. It makes no sense. I mean, you really do have the most useless Neospacion because... why would you use Air Hummingbird? There's no point. Why would you put Air Hummingbird other than to just be deck filler? To be like, oh look, I got a Jaden deck with Air Neos in it. Air Hummingbird in it. And also, let's be honest, Air Neos is nothing really to write home about. It's not exactly like this, oh, it's so broken, it's the best Yu-Gi-Oh card of all. It's really not. It's really not this, oh, it's the best card of all time. It's really not. It's really not. It's just your standard, your standard Elemental Hero Neospacion monster. that, guess what? At the end of the turn, it has to go back into the extra deck, and you're basically out of whatever you had on the field for that turn. I'm sorry, it's why these contact fusion for hero monsters are terrible. Have a monster that you can actually keep on the field. So, no, it's just interesting that now we, after years, and now the 25th century rare Yu-Gi-Oh cards are fully out of print, it is interesting that we finally are now to the point where no longer this mystery of what's going on with Air Neos, well, we no longer have that situation. It's now we fully just understand that, yeah, Konami originally messed up. It is believed that Takahashi, the creator, actually was behind the design, but yeah, it really doesn't make sense why Air Neos hasn't been reprinted. I mean, even Konami went to the extent when they did Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duel, instead of basically trying to redesign Air Neos, they just straight up made up a brand new archetype for all the Hero / Neospacian cards. Also, Konami, come on, just bring us Rush Duel to the States. It makes no sense not to have it. It's a fantastic... I mean, just playing it on Duel Links, it's a lot of fun. I don't understand why... And it's like it's within the top 10 best card games in Japan currently. I just don't understand why you don't bring that over to the US. But oh well. Now let's get on to our next topic, and that will be on the debacle around Genshin Impact voice actor strike. And I'm going to say it out loud. Hashtag, shut it, Paimon. Now, for anyone who's really confused by this, of course, Genshin Impact is a free-to-play mobile game, yada, yada, yada. It has English voice casting, and, you know, it's been around for 5 years. Well, when the Natlan part of the game started, back in September of last year, the SAG-AFTRA voice acting strikes started at the same time. And, you know, one of the big reasons why they claim that Now, while the Natlan voice actors were not part of the company who were not part of the management agency, who was reason why a lot of these voice actors were not there, there were a few of these actors who were part of that. The character who's caused all of this big issue is a character called Kanish, whatever. This character was fully voice acted in patch 5.0, and he was fully voice acted except for from small side quest stuff. And then he disappeared for the entirety, and several other voice actors did as well. You know, there were several of these characters who they were there for patch 1 and then they disappeared. But fortunately, most of the Natlan voice actors were there. They were fully voice acted, and they were doing their part. And I appreciated the heck out of them being there. The major issue, though, is the claim as to why the strikes were happening were, and I quote, AI protection, which I will not argue. Voice actors should have AI protections. I already think it's creepy enough that Disney has the AI rights to do, you know, Earl Jones' voice anytime they do anything they want with Earl Jones. They literally can make Darth Vader at this point say anything they want, which is kind of terrifying when you have Kathleen Kennedy running around basically threatening the Star Wars franchise, everybody in the Star Wars fandom with destroying Star Wars. Yeah, no, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. And of course, it just makes me extremely disappointed that it's now come out, thanks to another voice actor from the Genshin cast, outing everybody who's out for the SAG-AFTRA strikes that we now know they never were striking Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact was not a company who was threatening to use AI voices. Hoyoverse never was going to do that. And the Genshin Impact is also not one of the union games. And it's very abundant that several of these voice actors were using their status of being in the SAG-AFTRA union to try to take advantage of the situation, and basically they both were trying to get Hoyoverse forced into being the voice, trying to basically force people into making. They were trying to make Genshin Impact a union game, but also at the same time they were trying to force people who were voice actors for Genshin who aren't in the union, trying to force them into the union, and it's gone terribly. And obviously, most voice actors who are part of the Genshin have no interest on joining this. And the whole reason why we even know about this is one simple thing. In the latest patch of Genshin Impact, Kanish's voice actor, Kanish was voiced again after not being voiced for over 6 months. Well, that's not because the voice actor came back. That's because Hoyoverse replaced him with a Japanese English-speaking gentleman who does a fairly good job. This character, the new voice, Kanish's voice actor, sounds exactly as I would hope he would sound. And it's extremely disappointing that they were. And the thing is, because he, and I quote, crossed the protesting lines and did voice acting, replacing a voice actor who basically refused to come back and do his job that he's being paid to do, he got attacked online, mostly on X, one of the most toxic places to be on, and it really was just very unpleasant. This Japanese gentleman had no clue what was going on, and he was just attacked by his fellow Genshin Impact voice actors. The ones who were striking, they were the ones who were going out there and they were yelling at the poor guy. It is very unprofessional. It's unprofessional. Just because you're a union voice actor and you don't want to come back to the franchise doesn't give you any right whatsoever to attack anybody else just because you don't want to come back and do your voice acting. And the most ironic and, in my personal opinion, disappointing thing is a voice actor who is the most hypocritical out of all of the current voice actors that Genshin's cast. Karina, aka the voice actor of Paimon in English, who, I want to state this for everybody who has to hear it, has been voice acting non-stop since patch 1.0. She is part of this union strike, but she has consistently been voice acting Paimon non-stop since this patch. And she is one of the people who was vocal, rude, and in all honest opinion, was very disrespectful to a brand new voice actor to the cast. In my opinion, Karina is she wants to yell at Kanish's new voice actor and be rude to him when she is just as bad as him. She crossed this line first. She was the individual who she has, and her reasons for, and I quote, why it's okay that she crosses the line but no one else can cross the line, is because of her mental disability. And I'm going to say this. Okay, that's fine. Work. You need the money for your medicine or whatever, but you have a lot of gall to sit down and attacking someone who had no idea about the situation. And I do love it that Venti's voice actress, the one who, if you didn't know, Venti's voice actress is actually a female. I'm sure some people knew that, some people didn't understand that. It doesn't really matter too much, but Venti's voice actress came out and made a song ripping on Karina and Paimon, and it's kind of fucking legendary. I mean, it's the classiest way, because there are a lot of Genshin voice actors who are on new Kanish's voice actor. They're on his side. Especially the ones who haven't stopped voice acting for the game. The ones who didn't ruin limited time events that are never going to happen again because they wanted to be a bunch of selfish children who wanted AI protections. When, here's the irony, and here's the most bullshit of bullshit things I'm going to say. The SAG-AFTRA organization is now offering you the chance to, you can't use AI companies, but if you want to use our AI technology to use our voice actors, and you're willing to pay the union, you can use our AI programs. Huh. What the hell is that? I'm sorry. That is so... I'm sorry. It's so scummy. It is the scummiest thing in the world. Company, you can't use AI. Also, SAG-AFTRA. But if you use our AI, that's okay. My lord. I've heard... It's so hypocritical. It really is. To me, SAG-AFTRA has clown makeup. And I have no respect for the Genshin voice actors who both attacked Kanish's new voice actor and the ones who just basically have ruined events because they're too lazy to come back, or they're refusing to come back until Genshin goes union. Well, here is my opinion. The hiring of Kanish's new voice actor says one thing to me. Hoyoverse is starting to get fed up with the English voice actors who aren't coming back. And it's very obvious that sooner than later, everyone who's refusing to come back is going to get terminated. And they're just going to get the new voice actors. You know, it's hypocritical. In my opinion, Hoyoverse should not have to Hoyoverse should not have to hold these people's voice acting positions for 6+ months until they're satisfied. Like, come on. You have ruined several patches. The Nihida birthday event. The Light of Lantern that we had this year. A lot of these events were ruined because so many of these voice actors and actresses have just straight up refused to come back. My opinion, Hoyoverse put out a giant red sign. Come back, or we're going to replace you. And we don't care who we replace you with. And I'll be honest, I like I said, I'm very disappointed. I think it's a little disgusting that, Hoyoverse has sat down, they've saved his position for these people, and everybody agreed with him at first, because we thought it was over AI protections. Now we find out, oh no, if you pay their union, oh no, yeah, you can use our voices in AI. It really is disgusting. But, let's see. So I went over the Sanji debacle. I went over the Airneos thing. I've gone over... Yes. Now it's time to talk about what I think is a very sad thing that has to come up, and it's very much related to another big corporation doing something bad, is Gura, the the Hololive VTuber, has announced her graduation. It has officially been announced that on May 1st, Japanese time, that Gura will be retiring and she will have her last stream. She is graduating and she will be... and she's made it very clear that this disagreement and her leaving was because of a disagreement with current management. Now, this would not be a shock if it wasn't for the fact that over the last 9 months, we've lost 6 other very prominent members of Hololive. And it very much seems that every one of these things has been because of a disagreement with the management company who's currently in charge of Hololive. If you're not shocked, it's a California company that is ruining a Japanese product again. Who is shocked by that? Raise your hand if you're shocked. I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked whatsoever that yet again we have a Japanese company coming in, selling their products to a English voice actor. And it's just like ruining, it is just ruining the, in my opinion, it's going to ruin Hololive. It's very obvious that a lot of these VTubers are just, it's hard to say. It's hard to say why fully everybody is leaving. It does sound like it's a management issue. And it's crazy just to think that we have more and more of these members of Hololive are leaving. I really am disappointed by this. And it is just crazy. But yeah, that is a... But no, but it's incredibly sad to see Gura leaving. It's very obvious that... she's been stressed. She's been streaming less and less, and it's hard to say if that is just because of her disagreement with the Hololive management or if it's just her being tired. It's incredibly hard to say. It is very sad, and I'll say this, Gura, thank you for the hours of entertainment. Thank you for the memes. Thank you for singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" at a fucking baseball game. Cheers. Cheers is all I can say, and I hope your next few weeks go good. And a reminder to the people, please don't dox people who are VTubers behind the scenes. It's rude, it's disrespectful, and I would just say, please in general, be nice. But, nope, outside of that, we are finally on to our last part of the, of this video. Give me a second. Gotta quench my throat a bit. So, if you're not too shocked, the last section of this will be on the Nintendo Switch 2, if you can't tell by the picture that's been up the entire time. And I'm gonna be 100% honest. The Switch 2, I was ready to rip into Nintendo when I originally planned out to do this podcast. But now that we have official updates about the Switch 2, I no longer have to rip into them. Let's just say in the first place, give me a second. Thanks. Alright, there we are. Sorry, I had to respond to somebody. But no, so, first of all, let's talk about the pure insanity that was the Switch 2 lead up. First of all, we've been hearing about a more powerful Switch for what feels like 4 years. Feels like they've been talking about, oh, we're going to get a Switch 2, we're going to get a Switch 2, we're going to get a Switch Pro, we're going to get all these different things. And for years, there was rumors, there was prototype images, there were people who claimed their uncle from Nintendo. Oh, my uncle from Nintendo says the Switch 2 is coming, and a bunch of what I would purely describe as copium. And I hate to say that, but it's been years that we've heard about the Switch 2. It's coming, it's a coming. oh yes, the Switch 2 is coming. And now we officially have confirmation that the Switch 2 exists. And we finally have a pre-order date. Huzzah! So, first of all, let's go down the rabbit hole. Obviously, in January, we got that reveal trailer, which was a pure and utter nothing fest. I'm sorry, that was such a disappointing thing. The only thing that we really got from that was finding out we were going to get a Nintendo Direct 2 in April. And mind you, we did get some information. We got the fact that there was going to be the Joy-Cons that acted like mice. We were going to get a brand new Mario Kart game and everything. That's... the system was bigger, and that was the kind of stuff that we really had. But it really was a big old nothing. I hate to say that. It really was. Then we had, everything else. We had the whole waiting and the rumor mill. Because, of course, the rumor mill is the most... And then we got the Nintendo 2 Direct, April 2nd. And may I say, I think the system looks great. First of all, I love the cosmetics. I love the fully black console with the color being underneath the joysticks. I think that's I like the design. I like the magnets, and I like people who have been hands-on with the Switch 2 are showing us just how strong these magnets are. They can't be forced off real easy, and they look like they're pretty strong. I'm hoping these are not just special Switch 2s for the demonstrations, and that the actual Switch 2s will not be as strong. But I'm gonna try to have some more faith. We also found about the chat feature that's been added to Nintendo. Nintendo is truly a company who can add a feature that Xbox 360 had years ago and try to make it like this is the biggest accomplishment Nintendo has ever done. I hate to sound so negative about it, but it's like Nintendo wants full applause, but man, there's been voice chatting games for years. I am just really shocked that Nintendo really, they want praise when they really don't fucking deserve. I'm sorry. And the fact is now we know, thanks to people who've asked, that's a separate payment you have to do to have voice acting in-game. It's not part of your Switch Online subscription. It's an extra charge on top of that. And how much is that going to be per month? And what's the thing is, why? People are going to rather be Discord, they're going to get on their Discords and do that, or they're going to sit there and do a fucking voice chat with their buddies. Nintendo, people don't need it. And the thing is, too, even Sony and Xbox have adapted and just let you use Discord on your fucking system. Needing a in-game chat mode for Nintendo just doesn't... And yes, I know, there's but the system can hear you across the room, and the Switch camera can see you, and it's going to isolate your face. It's so much bullshit. And this stuff is never gonna work. It won't. This is never gonna work as good as Nintendo's selling it. It's never going to. It's never gonna work as good as they're trying to sell it. It's never gonna play as good as they're gonna make it sound. And even in the footage they showed, the frame rates of people's models look awful. And I know, I don't care about frame rate when it comes to Nintendo. I don't expect frame rates from Nintendo. But I expect fucking effort. I really fucking do. Now, let's also talk about a thing that also displeases me is the fact that the GameCube expansion for the expansion pass for Switch Online expansion pass is being basically held at gunpoint to be on the Switch 2 only. What about the fucking Switch can't handle GameCube games? They're truly saying, hey, if you want to play Pokemon Coliseum and Luigi's Mansion, you have to pony up and buy Switch 2. I mean, I wanted a Switch too. I want to play those games, but it doesn't make any fucking sense why I have to pony up and I have to pay for a Switch 2 when I'm already paying for the expansion pass for the Switch 1. It's just stupid. It's stupid that they can't, that there's no, like, to me, there's no good reason why this has to be locked to the Switch 2. It doesn't. It doesn't make sense. But okay, let's get to it. Two most internet controversial things: the price for the Nintendo Switch and the price for accessories and the price for gaming. Let's get into it. First of all, $450 for a Switch 2. That is a bold, and may I say, that is an extremely bold ask, Nintendo. For mind you, if these consoles can run as good as you're claiming, they're gonna be at they're gonna have 100 frames per second. We're gonna get the good resolution. Nintendo, if you're not bullshitting us and you were showing us the best version of what this should look like, I've got no problem. I got no problem whatsoever. But my lord, Nintendo, if it does come down and you are bullshitting us about the power behind these consoles, that $450 is going to quickly feel like I got ripped off. And I'm not going to be a fan of if you do that, Nintendo. Let's be 100% honest. Number two, let's get into it. Accessory prices going up because of tariffs. First of all, let's praise Nintendo for not raising the price of the console. If the consoles went over $500 and the bundled one with Mario Kart went up to over $550, and even if they went up higher than that, I don't think it would be worth it. I really don't. On top of that, I think it's very ridiculous that the Switch 2 is... And the Switch 2 accessories going up, especially the Joy-Cons, is very much not a good look. Especially that most of your Switch 1 accessories will no longer be good or worthwhile. Personally, I think the Switch 2 it has a long way to go. But what can you do? People are going to still buy the damn consoles. But let's get to the worst part about this, and that is the game situation. There has been so much information that is both true and not true going on about the Nintendo Switch 2. First of all, you have the giant situation where everybody's out there claiming, oh, Nintendo games are going to be $80. Nintendo games are all going to be $90. And the problem is that's true, but also we don't know how true that's going to be. The new Mario Kart will be $80 at launch. But then at the same time, the new Donkey Kong game is coming out to be $70. And they are both Switch 2 games, so it is confusing to see one Nintendo Switch game being $80 and one being $70. And then you have Nintendo out there claiming that games are going to get priced based on the amount of effort it took and polish the games have. So that means that what if Nintendo thinks they really have something banging and they're going to be like, we really worked on this one, $100. Is that going to be the future pricing plan for games? I don't know if that's a good idea. I think Nintendo definitely needs to just say what the base price for a Nintendo game is going to be and leave it at that. And then, of course, we're getting into the whole problem that Sony had, where there's going to be upgrades to upgrade your game from a Switch 1 version to a Switch 2 version, which, listen, Sony saw how bad of an idea that was. Nintendo, come on. You've had years to watch Sony flounder about with the PS4 to PS5 situation. I just don't understand why you've seen that situation and you're going, oh, this is a perfect plan. Ho ho ho! It really is just a huge, it's a huge mess up. I don't know why Nintendo's doing this. I really don't. I'm just, overarchingly, I'm worried about the Switch 2 becoming a money pit. And I'm worried at the same time, if Nintendo's not careful with the Switch 2, it's going to live the same life cycle of the Dreamcast. And for those who know, Sega died because of the Dreamcast. So, let's be careful, Nintendo. Let's not push any envelopes that we financially can't back up. But let's get to the last little topic about the Switch 2 and the fact that pre-orders are going up at midnight, 12 a.m. Well, most places are going up, but this, we're going to have April 24th. Switch pre-orders are going up everywhere. And it is going to be a war zone. I will be attempting to get a Switch 2 pre-order, but I have no faith. At the time, it sounds like Walmart, Target, Best Buy, and a few other places have their pre-order sites listed and up. And some people are speculating that Amazon has no Switch 2 consoles because there is not a currently available US page for the Switch 2. So it's going to be a war zone. And of course, we need to remember that Nintendo is pretty confident that they have enough Switches prepared to beat scalpers. I think they're full of shit. I really do. And I think I hate scalpers so much because they buy a shit ton of consoles and then they'll fucking show videos of them having pallets of fucking consoles. And then what's going to happen is those consoles will sit in their house not selling. They'll sell like half those consoles. The other half will sit in a pallet, not ever being sold. And the Switch 2s will be everywhere. And then those jackasses who bought all those consoles are going to be like, oh man, I can't believe there's so many Switch 2s left over. And it frustrates me to an extent. Of course, I will say this. If I don't get my Switch pre-order from the beginning of the console, this first rush, I really hope I can maybe get one from the Nintendo Direct purchase that's going live early May. With them requiring having Nintendo Switch Online expansion for X amount of time and having 50 hours of playtime, I hope Nintendo can beat the scalpers more with that one and have more Switches on there than other retailers. But it's really hard to say what's going to happen. So guys, thank you for joining me for the Geekpod podcast. If you're watching this later, please keep an eye on the playlist and come back next week. The next episode, I should say if I actually got a console or not. And for those who joined me throughout the stream, I want to thank you very much. Thank you so much for watching.